My name is Clara, and I'll never forget that night. The restaurant glowed with chandeliers, laughter bouncing off marble walls. Waiters circled with champagne flutes, while cameras flashed on my sister. Kate was radiant, of course, draped in silk, dripping with praise. Then Mom rose, glass in hand, eyes sparkling with pride. "To Kate," she declared, "the daughter I'm truly proud of." Applause erupted, forks clinking, relatives beaming at the golden child. I sat frozen, my smile carved thin, hands trembling under the table. When dessert arrived, a waiter slid a leather folder toward me. The bill, nearly $2,000, stared back like a slap. Mom leaned closer, her voice a dagger. "Go on, Clara, pay it." And in that moment, humiliation burned hotter than the candle flames. That bill wasn't about money. It was about my place in this family. Growing up, I learned early that my place in the family was secondary. Kate was always the star. The blonde curls, the easy smile, the girl who got applause just by walking into a room. Relatives would pinch her cheeks and gush, "She's going to be a heartbreaker someday." And then they'd glance at me, awkwardly adding, "Clara's the smart one." It sounded like a compliment, but it was really a consolation prize. When Kate wanted ballet lessons at 6, my parents signed her up for the most expensive studio in town without hesitation. When I begged for a science camp that same summer, Mom sighed. "Too costly. You can go to the free program at the library." Her first recital dress cost more than my entire back-to-school wardrobe. Meanwhile, I wore hand-me-downs, my hems crooked from learning to sew them myself. The pattern never changed. When Kate needed a new dress for every school dance, she got it. When I needed textbooks for advanced math classes, I was told to borrow or buy used. She spent her afternoons rehearsing. I spent mine bagging groceries to pay for a graphing calculator. She was praised for being busy with activities. I was told to be responsible and pick up shifts. College only deepened the divide. Kate's tuition was fully covered, her apartment paid, and a monthly allowance wired like clockwork. I lived in a cramped apartment with 3 roommates, working nights in a care facility to afford ramen dinners. She majored in communications, floating from party to party, posting photos in designer clothes. I studied nursing, pulling 80-hour weeks, yet my achievements barely drew a nod. Whenever I questioned the imbalance, my parents shut me down. Dad would mutter, "Different kids, different needs." Mom would say with that cutting sigh, "Clara, don't be jealous. It's not attractive." But it wasn't jealousy. It was exhaustion. The exhaustion of being invisible while giving everything. Of watching one sister celebrated for simply existing, while I had to fight for scraps of acknowledgement. That night at the restaurant, when Mom raised her glass, all that quiet unfairness boiled over into humiliation I could no longer swallow. Adulthood was supposed to free me from the shadow. I thought moving out, paying my own bills, building my own life would balance the scales. But favoritism has a long reach. When I graduated nursing school, I sent photos of me in my cap and gown. My parents didn't come. They were busy driving Kate to Los Angeles for a brand collaboration shoot. Dad texted a flat congrats. Meanwhile, Mom posted on Facebook, "So proud of Kate chasing her dreams." The message was clear. My steady path was invisible. Her glittery chaos was worthy of applause. I rented a small 1-bedroom in Chicago, furnished with secondhand finds and the plants I tended on my balcony. Every item in that apartment was mine, bought with paychecks from 12-hour shifts. I built a quiet pride from survival. My scrubs, my patient thank yous, my financial independence, those were my trophies. Kate, meanwhile, floated from one crisis to another. When her rent was due, my parents wired money. When her car broke down, Dad co-signed a loan. When a brand deal fell through, Mom called me, voice honeyed. "Clara, can't you help your sister this once?" This once had become dozens of times. I learned to set boundaries, one shaky no at a time. Still, guilt gnawed at me every refusal. Family dinners turned into silent tests. Would I open my wallet? Or would I be branded selfish again? The contrast sharpened with Michael, my boyfriend. He saw me, my effort, my worth, without conditions. When he came to a family dinner, he leaned over and whispered, "Emma, they treat you like the reliable ATM. It's not love. It's dependence." His words burned because they were true. I stayed quiet most nights, biting back the urge to call out the imbalance. But every act of restraint, every swallowed truth stacked like stones inside my chest. I told myself peace was worth the silence. But silence has a weight, and one night it finally cracked. And it cracked not in private, but at a crowded restaurant, with my mother holding a glass in the air. The private room glittered, chandeliers throwing gold across white linen. Kate posed by the cake, sequins catching every wandering phone camera. Laughter swelled, champagne fizzed, and the photographer kept circling her. Mom tapped her glass. The room hushed like a stage cue. She smiled at Kate, then glanced past me as if through glass. "To my beautiful Kate," she said, voice thick with pride. "The daughter I'm most proud of. The one who shines." Applause broke like surf. A few relatives even wiped tears. I clapped too, small and careful, heat rising in my face. The desserts arrived, towering slices, sugar roses balanced like crowns. A waiter stepped to my side, black folder held respectfully. "Miss Clara?" he asked, setting it neatly before me. "The check." The number blinked up, 1,080 before tip and service. 22% suggested gratuity, neatly printed in pale gray. My heart stuttered. Silverware chimed somewhere like distant bells. A cousin leaned forward. "Is that for you?" she whispered. Before I could speak, Mom's voice cut clean and bright. "As always, Clara will handle it," she said, lifting her glass. It's the least she can do for her sister's special day. A thin wave of laughter rolled, then died in the corners. Kate sipped champagne, eyes glittering, mouth tilted in a practiced smile. I looked at Dad. He cleared his throat, then looked away. An aunt shook her head, whispered, "That's not right," then blushed. At the doorway, the manager hovered, polite concern on his face. "Everything all right here, ma'am?" he asked toward my mother. "We're fine," Mom answered, never once looking in my direction. The photographer kept shooting, flash popping like little detonations. The bill sat open, heavy as a stone in my lap. This wasn't generosity. It was ritual. Public tribute disguised as tradition. My humiliation had been itemized, taxed, and totaled in ink. I pushed the dessert back. Sweetness couldn't fix the taste. Heat climbed my neck, a slow burn turning into wildfire. If they wanted a scene, they were about to get one. Because that bill wasn't just money, it was my place, priced. I stood, palms steady, voice surprising even me with calm. The room tightened, napkins frozen halfway between plates and mouths. "If Kate is your pride, let your pride pay tonight." Mom's smile thinned. "Don't embarrass us. Just handle it, Clara." I tapped the bill. "This isn't tradition. It's humiliation. Weaponized. I won't fund my own erasure. Not anymore. Not tonight." Dad cleared his throat. "Sweetheart, don't make a scene over money. This isn't money. It's math. Years of subtraction from me alone. Add up the dresses, lessons, allowances, rescues. Then compare receipts yourself." Kate lowered her glass, eyes glittering. "Why are you being cruel? Asking for fairness isn't cruelty. Paying to be diminished is abuse." Mom's chair scraped. "We raised you. You owe this family respect. Respect goes both ways. Tonight, mine arrived itemized and assigned publicly." The manager hovered again. "Would you like separate checks instead?" Mom waved him off. "She'll pay. We're celebrating our star tonight." I took my wallet, laid cash for my seltzer, tip, and tax. "This covers what I ordered, and a generous gratuity for service." I closed the folder, slid it gently toward my mother instead. A cousin whispered, "Good for her," before staring hard at bread. Kate's smile faltered. "You're ruining my night. It's my birthday. Be gracious." "Your night was built on me. That's the actual problem for years." Dad tried again. "Let's talk calmly. Don't escalate this, please, tonight." Calm meant silence. Silence kept me paying, nodding, disappearing for years. I turned to Kate. "You're talented, but talent isn't entitlement either. If you want the crown, wear the cost as well from now." Mom hissed. "Ungrateful." The words snapped like a brittle twig tonight. "Gratitude without boundaries is servitude. I'm done performing obedience for you." The photographer lowered his camera, eyes wide, flash finally resting at last. The manager nodded slightly. "We can split this 3 ways instead." "No," I said, "charge them. I am not paying for this." "Or," I added, "run the card labeled Family Pride, please, for once." A few relatives snorted, then hid behind napkins and glasses quickly. Kate whispered, "Clara, please, don't do this here, not now, to me." "I am doing this here because you did it publicly to me." I breathed, steadying the shake that wanted to betray me out loud. "Here's what change is effective immediately," I said, clear, measured, and final tonight. No more surprise bills. No more secondhand love. No exceptions from me. Respect is the price of admission. Without it, doors close for good. I set the folder upright, like a tiny headstone waiting for them. Then I turned, walked past the cake, and kept walking straight out. Behind me, chairs scraped, voices collided, cutlery chimed like alarms all around. Outside, the night air felt honest, cold, absolutely necessary tonight. I exhaled. I won't buy love, I'll buy my peace from now. But inside, the story wasn't over. Not for them or me quite yet. I walked until the city swallowed the restaurant's noise. Cold air steadied me, sharper than champagne and applause. Not the quiet one anymore. Not the designated payer. Morning brought messages stacked like plates after a banquet. Dad called first, voice low. He should have said something. I said, try again, but with actions, not speeches. Kate texted next. Sorry, I didn't know it felt humiliating. I answered. Then learn. Pride that costs others isn't worth celebrating. Mom sent silence, then a single line. You embarrassed me. Respect is the price of admission. Guilt is no currency. I booked therapy, circled sessions like stitches closing a wound. Truthfully, I was learning the difference between lonely and peaceful. Weeks passed. Boundaries stayed. Invitations arrived with careful wording. I replied kindly, clearly. I'll come if terms are respectful. No surprise bills, no public digs, no golden child performances. If those conditions cracked, I would stand up and leave. Dad met me for coffee, hands folded, apology steady. I believed him because he asked how to change. Start by noticing, I said, then say something out loud. Kate visited without cameras, hair undone, voice softer than usual. She admitted the spotlight hid costs she never had to pay. We planned smaller birthdays, shared receipts, split checks without dramatics. Mom hovered at the edge, orbiting her habits like gravity. Maybe she'll step closer. Maybe she won't. I can wait. My life isn't a payment plan for someone else's narrative. If you've lived under favoritism disguised as love, I see you. You can love family and still refuse unfair terms. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're instructions for healthy relationships. Have you faced this? Tell me in the comments below. If you've been through it, you're not alone, ever. Subscribe for more true stories of courage, boundaries, and becoming.